Hello, te mo femo yo te min pe mo femo ke mba ni tete TV oyi wala don wa de nche ake ngene nwe wo fe be ni boli wo ba pe ni wo gba sande fi o boli te mo be ni ko budane Ghana no ya wo ke gandangbe no ya wo yo bi e ona boni nchon. So hashtag I speak Ghana, hashtag I speak Dangbe. All across the social media platforms say, "O fane bombo de keji oke moko national mo eje bombo de ni oke yue mo alo lile no yo bombo de no ka wo shishi ona boni nchon koni mo ana ke engo na ake gandang before mo bi jibo ono mi shishi agbene we keji oye dwemoko ni osmo no chon ye video na ni wo fi oye yi boy no na ye mfoni ne no mi kpabo fai obanyo ke no ni blofo chole voice note oke ma jemi ye WhatsApp kuku kope ni oke ojomochomo aba da ho ye no koni nchole mambi agbe blofo bake the voice of the people jomochomo ni mambi ke majio mi fe ibu afe na ni nke ngokpa no ni wo fe wo buo wo ngawo tue so fine bon keji oye dwemoko ni osmo no chon ye video say yemu mfoni eni wo fefe obanye oke ojomochomo amajemi ye once again yi boy ni ona ye yemu mfoni ne no ni ke o share nke ba fita other ones ni in receive oyi ekomekwe oyi wala don ake ofe be ni okwemi mi kpabo fa wa tamobe ni nkobo la ke wa ye manse boli no kome no na ke judge o we shiaji ani wo machine alo wonye wo machine mi kpabo fa keji ofo ya ka ba machine ni o tamoko ewabo ke o plan draw mo o plan na ba draw abo wonye minu Joseph ni kolitete e boy won modern wa de nche ina ke wote amenkome ni tete viewers wote amenkome wo twale wo kele na sanegba engo na wa nye irela don mi damo fe mo shini ekele national mo bonko ye jame no tamoko a draw o plan e habo o fa na yibo ni ona ye impampa keji o twana kan yibo wonye minu Joseph Nicole tete e boy wo modern wa de nche e banye wabo kanaka ni fe mo ka osmo ni mo no ekwe ni ama ocean we habo e banye fe na kan no blofo chole architectural modeling here o na ko ye screen there no ninkebo you ke a draw plan na habo e ba nya fi architectural modeling habo so before ni ake block e ba mashipompo o ba na the way ni ocean e ba ji ni e ba tamo o fine wa keji ofo yi ake o ba machine bomode ni okele national mo e ba bomode wa e habo mene wa ba you politics mene wa ba you politics in politics bi mene wa ba you politics mene wa ba no politics bi nyenye ya wa mi ni nya ni aso Nigga ya wa bi nya ni asa abigi oyenye abigi mene wo abego abigi ka very rough anyways ogba ni we President John Dramani Mahama eke wo media bi niji wo wolong maloi ili ake na kanji boni achole ye gami da bi je wo media bi je wolong maloi dia bona boni to we journalist New York Ghana ekamena an encounter niji ogba ni one over ne call boni acho journalist ye gami over ne animal onu ke wo comment section ni mana adafi twaloi inkai adafi twaloi nakai that's right e ka adafi twaloi ni yo Ghana ya na shitamo that's right adafi twaloi ne wa fine ni smoni ni bi e kome ni jepo bi amini President Mahama ke adafi twaloi ni yo Ghana national mo ni bi e kome ni jemie nke abo intiminenche inkwefe ogba inkwefe ntashi nkpano fe no ni fio about 3 hours intashi ni jegbe nkwano fe no ni te no ni mbono fe no to but of course ball yake nye ni match 3-hour video abo so many fortunately media outlets ni yo Ghana ni adafi twalo ehia ni yo Ghana alo adafi twa ahia ni yo Ghana one snippet fio komeke jeje je no fe no ni awe jino ni ina shina fie komeni masumo ni matwama abo koni bodi enche onu president onu ye President Mahama na sanji ni adafi twalo bile ke na jemoni eke ha me ona boni nchon so wakafite be kura nya awo boti ami kenkle yuemo infoni ni matwama abo President Mahama yani Ghana bi fe na eliake biamini washe eji bekoni sani chake mo abagana eja keke okwede we ni wache Akufo-Addo ke esemo alo esekwalo ni achole Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia the way ni amerani Ghana ma ebeyin me no biamination sani chake mo aba eja keke chake mo ba ni ashigana hame ni amete no ni ame control alo ame govern Ghana le fe make no ni Ghana ba ji ne ba tomo e ba ngo wo fe wona so o fa ne to mo beni nke ebo wi mo mfoni kenkran ni matwa abo no ni president Mahama UAG no o fa ne awo bulletwe.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time for change. The time for change has come. And it is not just a slogan, but a clarion call to the heart and soul of our nation. This is a time for change because of the urgent need for a transformative shift in the way we govern, the way we create jobs, the way we live, the way we provide social services, including health and education, and the way we envision the future of our dear country, Ghana. After almost 8 years under the deplorable leadership of the Akufo-Addo and Bawumia administration, we have seen our country sink into a serious economic abyss. The current economic mess sums up the verdict on this MPP administration. The harsh reality is that for most citizens, the piteous journey over the period has been a very bitter experience of economic and social deprivation. The unprecedented levels of poverty, unemployment, deterioration in our people's livelihoods, and social inequity have exposed the dubious strategy of hiding incompetence under sloganeering. It confirms without hesitation that the disruptive and hasty experimentation with the lives of the Ghanaian people was underpinned by a naive exuberance, arrogance, and indeed selfishness. And I'm referring to the economic challenges that have shattered the dreams of our youth and the aspirations of the vulnerable in our society. No one has been spared, not children, not adults, including the middle class and the elderly have all been hit very hard. And I dare say, even you, the media, have not been spared. Fellow Ghanaians, and that's a very famous refrain, fellow Ghanaians, notwithstanding these challenges, I am imbued with the optimism and a steadfast belief in my God Almighty and the amazing creativity of the Ghanaian people to assure you tonight that together we shall turn around this tide. We shall turn this government's destructive tide into positive and progressive waves, waves that will reverberate in every home and corner of our country and across the globe, demonstrating that Ghana has once again gotten back on track.
Right, so if you make a wabo letwe ona boninchon FM yake mokokla ye Ghana ni esumo Ghana ni ebaka ke biamini wo share esa ni chake moba eni Ghana shidamo yo amonton amlone ye no fe no mi chake mo ya ona boninchon ni like I said beja MPP nyo ni akefo elangmo ni esumo e party fe Ghana mamue shimon keji MPP nyojibo po ni osumo o mangana fe boni osumo o party MPP e fe make bodi encha oba yo dasi yake beko ehye ni neken bene asane chake mo abami the way ni wo ma arani le so far beyin me no ona boni nchon ani wote se ni efite ni BP anukwale yake MPP bi na me ba ta no ame gbe amedampi na kanji boni ma yuele ame jegba ame gbe amedan Nana Akufo-Addo e kan 16 months e ba fe Ghana to mablochi Dr. Bawumia eke eyan ka oba afashika ni wo ke fe wo gbe wo ba nye wo to road se ni wo ke fe wo gbe I mean Dr. Bawumia eke kwemo keji shika na afa ni akebuoma benuele imbibi biopo ba anye fe ame wie ni BP shamon tonne mini jino ni wona ni bi fe fite ni bi fe yin ekpatan omo yeme ye Ghana men gbode me ye Ghana nuchumo beke on blantaye ni bi fe ya no ojogban ona boni nchon so mokoklo abe ni Toma benin kebo keji esumo Ghana fe party e ba kebo ake ashima aha Dr. Baumia lemoni amontone e mate biamini akelembe ba chon Ghana biye achele mate akeke bale economy miye ele economy mi femo shiamontone achele mate na akake ni kasio ni ke mate jibo ni driver nyoko nchombo ni na kan driver esha kake loli habwe mini different obafi. So MPBB they picked the wrong tag ni amekepete Dr. Baumia wrong tag Nicola because driver ne driver ni le chombo ni Dr. Baumia wa nyefenya ni femu ya ni wana wali yake Dr. na kan driver Esha ele noko so mini jino ni okase yedin mini jino no kase yendin ni biamini abafon shiki anye yue mo ni nye yue ni chwake bo onile ni oyo ye economy ye moko kla be Ghana ne ye nakan nile amontone noni jino noni wonane ona boni chon oba bia ke mine wo president Mahama ne town e be ko 5 reasons ewo ekome numo ewo ninu ewo ni feel like asani enye ba koni anya reset Ghana ona bonito na kanji we na yusu eke eni bi eni Ghana ehye sani anya na reset Ghana sani anya ageni bi fe shishi ekon sani anya chake no fe no mi the way ni wo yale wonye nwacha no ni wo ya no na kan don ona bonito o fa ne bullet we biamine aneke 5 reasons ewo ni asani Ghana a reset Ghana ni wo chake ni biamie bullet we.
Let me give you 5 good and solid reasons why we shall reset Ghana and turn the tide. 1 is experience. Unlike any other candidate, I've navigated Ghana through tough economic waters before. My presidency was marked by significant infrastructure development, building economic buffers for inclusive growth while ensuring macroeconomic stability. I understand the intricacies of national crisis management and possess the proven experience to reset Ghana from the economic challenges that we face today. The second point is visionary leadership for economic revival. My vision for Ghana is rooted in sustainable development. I'll focus on revitalizing our economy for job creation through industrialization, enhancing agriculture, and ensuring the efficient use of our natural resources. My administration will introduce cross-cutting innovative policies that are inclusive, growth-oriented, and capable of restoring hope back to our youth. And the third point is commitment to job creation. Recognizing that our youth are the backbone of this nation, my government will prioritize and create decent, well-paying, and sustainable jobs by fostering a conducive environment for entrepreneurship and innovation. The government and the private sector will not only tackle unemployment, but also inspire a generation of change makers and problem solvers. And the fourth point is championing social justice and equality. I wholeheartedly believe in a Ghana where every citizen, regardless of their background or gender, has equal opportunities to thrive. Under my leadership, social interventions and educational reforms will be strengthened. The vulnerable in our society will be protected and given the opportunity to change their circumstances. And let me add that gender equality will be a cardinal feature of the Mahama, Jenano, Opokuajima, and Flagstaff House. We would lead an administration that promotes gender inclusivity in every government policy. And that is why we propose to establish a National Women's Bank to empower women to close the gender gap financially. 1 million women will benefit from the Women's Bank to finance their small and medium-scale businesses. And the fifth point is a call to national unity. Ghana's strength lies in its diversity. The polarization and partisan politics that have characterized the current administration's tenure should have no place in Ghana. As president, I'll foster a spirit of national cohesion, encouraging all Ghanaians to contribute towards nation building regardless of their political, religious, or ethnic affiliation.
Right. So if you make be one reasons enu mo ni ha no ne wo ni Ghana need reset onu ye mi echo no kwa kele amount on experience on a boning chon experience run the country down bia me ni na kan time ni bi mi wafio wakayo no ni dum so fe Ghana dum so je president Mahama fault ni ke mo ke bua ke president Mahama like dum so ba mo egba abo anu kwale alo mo ekase ko ni ye Ghana kanegbe ke ni bi he wo wale na mo ni wo ke power wo kan ye be mo ekase ko ni mo efe an ignorant debate kama ko ke bon bakada ye dum so stane ni mo ke bua ke dum so president Mahama de ke dum so ba mo mi ke ba ke mo ele no konoko no na asane kase na asane le ye wo kanegbe ye Ghana dan efe na ken one je kase ko ne leko kani mo ko ke ba ke president Mahama le ke dum so awo abata esuo no ni biameni ehio efe solve dum so kani mo ko kla kabo ya kan parliamentary hazard 2017 State of the Union ni President Akufo-Addo ha ko gbe na won September of 2017 Ken Ofori-Atta budget statement ne ha no kan mo bono botwe oba na ke President Mahama le solve dum so kani MPP nyoko lakabo ne kebo no ko ne be wolomi kana me gbe ameda ke ka me dwemmo ana ke am facts ona bonincho ama me kwa ka me le wolomi wa na me facts ame be facts ame malio propaganda eju ame ka ja me pampan ka yi ame na ne shishin ona bonincho so ani wana wale yake experience lele ni wale yake experience around e kodan e ka ake mate ni ona bonincho e ba anye echuni agbeni weke because he's a visionary leader wo fe wale under 4 years common hospitals aboni president Mahama NPP amemako one hospital po e komepo ne ka amemako solo polyclinics ni president Mahama solo cheap compounds ni president Mahama solo work bay can be interchanges solo schools abone mamo mene me fashika son shika me fashika left right can you again e ga bigi miefu abigi emiefu ona she abigi oli aga no ni you anu kwale oli aga shika so onye fashika ni o party amefa mini pote wanyo cho project kome na ga shika efi abigi President Mahama hospital say one naka wa imbe abigi me hospital nyema shika ni nye fafa efe me secondary school kome nyema me university nyema wana no ni whole technical university sum wana no ni President Mahama fe ke shika afi wana abigi nye party nke nye wale no ni nye ke shika nye twa university kome ni nyema nye twa hospital kome ni nyema onum shishi pokwa say interchange je nyema President Mahama ni jenshi nyenye bagbena kaswa interchange je nyenye fe President Mahama ni jenshi abigi so nyenye shika nye party ya shika nye fa wale no ni nye fe wale onu mishishin agbene we job creation oblanta ni yo Ghana amenidi no chumoy no two ways about that MPPB na metage unemployment youth unemployment under President Mahama was around 8%. Ame work at almost 15%. Ame le noko MPPB da gbelo iso they don't know how to do anything. Ame gbe ame da keke propaganda we have the men ame shafe mo femo. This is the worst government that has ever that need Ghana be experienced under the Fourth Republic. Wachakufo po bomode wachakufo lepo bomode Akufo-Addo ke baomia ame shafe mo femo na vote ame ken you abigi baga ke mene analysis ele hold water abigi anyways social justice and equality lele President Mahama ni weke e ba bomode na face wake la abila about affirmative action bill aba bomode ko ni enasani ye wonye we empower ye ni ame bomode ni gbena ni asana akama wo na amewa ni atwa Ghana akame ba wo Germany ka awie ka bo eda awie moto keke abo example female first vice president ni Ghana ba na NDC Jimone selectile ona bonincho gender in equality onune UME in every government policy about face wake na sana ke ye yawo na mewa ni atwa Ghana ma aka me ba wo jo onune UA the National Women's Bank wo face several videos here no egbele bank solely na ba support ye ka me nuchumo ona bonincho na kan ye enwe twa faishi na UA ke ye Jimeni ba run na kan bank na kan no ninta wo ma UA na kan bank ye Jimeni ba run na kan bank ni ame ba bomode nko ni ame femini amekwe ni Ghana aya no jugbe a call to national unity bolenche ko okwe MPPB ame min glalo eji ame matimi hu bi e bole ame keje chuchu abigi kemi yue opene ko ba commenten shibe ye matimi hu bi e keje che matimi hu MPPB mati ame na kan ka me ba ame dwa Ghana po na me gbelo ni bi ada kufado keje achim nojibu be ni na yue Ghana esa no yue ko ona boninchon President Mahama ke eba bomode koni na kan ni BFA agbenenwe na yue na ta e ko blantai ni yo Ghana yue because so blantai ni yo Ghana amejegba me mpin na me gbodengme President Mahama ka me yue o fa ne bullet to yi.
To the youth of Ghana, I say I understand your frustration and your disillusionment. Many of you are feeling very frustrated. I can relate to the recent cynicism and massive mistrust you have in our body politics because the current government has been undeserving of your trust. The challenges of today might seem insurmountable, but I urge you to look beyond the present and dream with me of a reset Ghana, the Ghana we all want, where your talents and hard work will determine your success. I promise a Ghana where you are not sidelined, but at the forefront of change, where you can live happy lives and still achieve your optimum potential. This is not just a promise, it's a commitment. I will reset the economy and Ghana will be open for business for 24 hours a day.
Right, so ofanebe onu no ntwe onu President Mahama ye ko blantai ni yo Ghana yue enu ameshishi no ne woni amemiefu ni amehe politicians amehe don ame feel like keji ame Ghana oloe here no kamo ko be ke ha me ke enu ameshishi no no ni ame feel na kan shimon wa me wala ke amena na amele ake check mokumba ni ke na kan check mo nye ba aba reset ma ni promise amake chi ama akpasa ashi eke aka me oblantai ji ame nuewo ame bedromo to mo be ni keti yamon we aka oblantai ni yo Ghana ame bedromo ame ichu ka jamie noko be mi keti yamon Minister for Agriculture and Industry that be Minister for Trade and Industry leji mo na ewe na kan President Mahama ke da bi oblantai ni yo Ghana was sideline ni wo ba ganye involved bona fe ni wonye wo chake economy ni yo Ghana koni enye echu ni amofemo na egbe na ewe ojotwa ketobofo ni yo Ghana no ni blofo ba chele corruption ona bonincho the way ni we bi ne ejegbe etwa Ghana ojo na mejegbe amefo Ghana chobu President Mahama address ne chono kwake ye under administration e ba boy wo modern bona fe the fight against corruption ni Ghana bi fe ta war anye ni anyemi ojo gban ofa ne bole hunto ye jeme.
My goal is to launch a renewed fight against corruption. I'll keep my appointees in check, and Ghanaians can be assured that drastic steps will be taken to punish the corrupt officials and their accomplices in this present administration. No actor in this NPP corruption enterprise will be spared. We'll also take action to repossess what has been unlawfully stolen from the Ghanaian people. As we all know, government procurement is a significant source of corruption, and no economy can sustain inclusive and equitable social and economic well-being with the penchant for public service holders to be self-serving and corrupt, as is currently the case. The use of public finances will always be compliant with our national laws, transparent, justified by contemporary value for money tests, and solely in the interest of the broader citizens. If we want to eliminate corruption, we must increase accountability in government procurement processes And accountability gives power back to the people. God willing, as the incoming president and leader, I assure the people of Ghana that the NDC is fully committed to accountability. And this is why one of our key policies will be to set up an independent value for money office to scrutinize all government procurements above $5 million threshold, or as shall be recommended by Parliament. Transparency and accountability are the keys to fighting corruption, and we'll fight corruption by creating an office that will dynamically scrutinize all government procurements, coupled with a lean government of no more than 60 ministers and deputies. And I guarantee you that we will come out victorious in this fight against corruption.
Right, so if you make wabo letwe on corruption, no beninchon, it ba fe sure the fight against corruption about renew ni afel or jogban dienche, le dienche many about funny amekala chuni about keep a main check. A example called bo speech to eke le dienche abuga pele enyanyo wani le attorney general wabuga pele mo akufu ado ba neba je abuga pele. So ekeke kemoko efe koda moko dienche ewo le e party no more le president Mahama le efe nake obanyo chomi mokome ne ye MPP emi na ka ojotwa epete na Akufo-Addo ewole mo abigi mime abigi call le Akufo-Addo official akome na ka ojotwa epete na akelete court na Akufo-Addo ekwe nka Akufo-Addo ni wo momo shimo a prosecute le and Akufo-Addo government ne ni ewole mo chomomi President Mahama le di enche nyanyo a personal friend je a party no keke a personal friend abuga pele na ko jotwa akpe here President Mahama na prosecute le na bolemo ni abolemo under President Mahama moko yue phone no keke e yue phone no keke ke e ta 1 million President Mahama shwele President Mahama e shwele mo jene aju 1 million e yue phone no keke ke e ta 1 million President Mahama shwele and Akufo-Addo na shika dollars ke pounds ke euros ke nibi ye minister ko shacho shike wardrobe min ke nibi mi general Akufo-Addo aye ko sani e poden Akufo-Addo ba ne ba ka o le eliake antisisi che mene kwamo yoko ke between the office of the special prosecutor I me frustrate la ne ke case ayoko afele foolish case President Mahama kena ken case se ke ba fe e ba ti ameshife na sa kwa mi ekon no ka awe corruption sane nyeke NPP bi nyeke nye yaka compa NDC nye corruption ni ya no nye juwa hu so motu na ama nyumo hu podi enche nye ju nyeke so motu nyeke ju NPP bi nye she nyumo gbe ye ju mi ajuwa hu so motu na ama nyumo hu NPP bi nye ju nyenju nyeke so mo twenju na mo panya ye NPP bi ka yue corruption sane e kenye banye na ike chomo mi NPP nyokome na wolemo under NPP government ne iche akonya bo nke President Mahama abuga pele a personal friend NDC no awolemo under President Mahama Akufo-Addo ba ne ba jiele Chomomi moko yue phone no keke eta 1 million ashwele. Jene yako 1 million eta o keke. Inkenye ayana millions of dollars, thousands, hundreds of thousands of euros, ke pound sterling, ke a couple of millions of cedis. Ye minister a wardrobe me ke sa choshishiye. Aye kosani pa Akufo-Addo ke eche clearing agent e clear mo femo. Charles Bisu. Wale 500 excavators galamse excavators na juwe imbe na wele imbe chairman unto me $5 million na kan le ke construct stadium imbe nye ojoni nye chona nye ka yue ojo twa ka ju sane nye aka compare NDCB nka NDCB ko me chojo politicians e fe ojo twa lo eji ame fe nye no le da bi solo in the political party na maso mo chuanyumo na menju eje menunda maso mo chuanyumo we achonja akenju kwe we bi ne kwe nye satui nye she anyumo gbeye ona boni nchon no chono gwa ke politicians ni your MPP government na e ba na check ya be tamo beni le nche hu politicians ni e ka me ba tuni e ba na check ame MPP bi we ba na check ame ona boni ncho e ba na face track there is value for money for every project now ba fe no e ka e ba set up an independent value for money office boni afe anytime ni government ba invest in any project na ba cost more than $5 million na independent value for office value for money office and ba fe swag lele project ne that is an cost na ka je na kan ekpene allo parliament ma bill allo parliament approve loan ko na ka fe no ko ni ameke wo miake ani independent value for money officer akwami ebani akwami ona boni nchon no video no ni channel ni matwa maabo ewe ake eba face ake eba run one of the leanest government ni twa ke government bibio eba face ake government e da cho to me na Akufo-Addo ba ni e ha 120 ministers president Mahama ke da bi le eba ni e ke 120 ministers ba chuni eba face ake a government will be 60 will be no more than 60. So le ambo specific number ke je ministers pe ke a ministers ke deputy GFN so je ni ministers 60 ka me deputies da bi chono wa ke ministers ke deputies ani ame more than 60 no podi enche fachon America ne we almost 400 million je nege secretaries wo yo we bet this number of ministers fachon president Mahama 60 enche fachon ile no ni kura yo Ghana ni nyerano ni nwewo ni only the 60 ministers. You don't need 60 ministers, Mr. President. Min pabo fai only the 60 ministers. What dalene ni wo yo man mi fe ponenche secretaries enye wo yo. Ona boni ncho no mi e ka kan kobe to President Mahama na kenjema asano kwe. You don't need 60 ministers to run Ghana. Ghana is too small a country for this a number of ministers na ke ba run ma ona boni ncho sane bashikula you guys can do with 20 at most ye ba nye face some of the ministries enya nuchu mokokula be ni wole papa na menchu se na mo be jomo be mi bullet we
governance and fighting corruption for development. I am committed to drastically reducing the size of government, and rightly so. This government has sufficiently proven to Ghanaians that with over 120 ministers and deputy ministers, all they could offer was to run our economy aground. I will run a lean, highly effective and efficient government of no more than 60 ministers and deputy ministers. And this is solid proof of my genuine commitment to curbing government expenditure. This leaner government will be the cleanest government Ghana has ever experienced. It will serve Ghanaians far better and set higher standards for future governments. What we have now can obviously never and should never be a yardstick for governance. My goal is to launch a renewed fight against corruption. I'll keep my appointees in check, and Ghanaians can be assured that drastic steps will be taken to punish the corrupt officials and their accomplices in this present administration. No actor in this NPP corruption enterprise will be spared. We'll also take action to repossess what has been unlawfully stolen from the Ghanaian people.
Right, so if I get one way, Jemmy, on a bonnie show, to my benin cabwe, a cab, a minister say, I'm a far for more than 60 on a bonnie show. So that is the number ni Ghana be for hold accountable. To my benin, you can Ghana needs 60 ministers. It is too small a country for 60. You know, go back to US, we are almost 400 million ministers in here. Ministers in here. Oh no musician. So nakana male nkele kpagbe ejem I would wish ake sko ba bashikula e ke normal ko ba ni normal ye shishife 60 NH but anyway it's better than 120. Akufo-Addo na eche no still e ke ba etenoko ona boni nchon so still a bit Akufo-Addo in that regard. Agbene nwe to mo be na yu eke eche no ball government expenditure ba bashi ona boni nchon ame chono kwa ke agbene nwe eba feshu ake government ni bi ni me kome na me kokoi ni ame fe na kan ni amechom lagbe na na amekefie e ba fe sho aka na ka ni bi efe abaye maade so nye meni nye juju i washikpon jinye ofoli president Mahama e ba nye echu na ka ni e meni nye kokoi government ni bi government bungalows government shikpon jinka ni bi nye telans ministry nye chake e wo jinka ni bi ni yo jeme bo nye ta ashidi president Mahama mba ona boni nchon agbene nwe ke da na me ko ake ni ke ba 4 years pe ba ye ni 4 years e fa na enye ke fe no ko bona je mo na ke ha na kan wi mo to yi.
This time I come back to the job with experience and I'm going to hit the ground running. And so even though 4 years is short, I believe that in 4 years we can reset our country, and there are objectives that one wants to achieve. And I say that in 4 years, we can establish a strong fight against corruption. It is possible for a president to do that. I believe that in 4 years, we can begin carrying out constitutional reforms and reviewing our constitution. And that is an objective that I believe I will put myself to and we can achieve in 4 years. In 4 years, we can begin to turn around our economic fortunes and stabilize the economy. I don't say that it will become a land of prosperity, but at least we'll turn around the decline, stabilize the economy, and put it back onto a path of growth. In 4 years, I believe that we can ameliorate and alleviate a lot of the hardship our people are facing currently, because in stabilizing the economy and stabilizing the currency, we can reduce inflation and reduce some of the hardship that our people are facing. I believe that in 4 years we can improve our infrastructure. If we implement the big push, we want to put $10 billion over 5 years in infrastructure development. It will include roads, it will include bridges, it will include the essential infrastructure that will make our country run. And I believe that in 4 years, with the implementation of a 24-hour economic policy, we can begin to create more jobs for our people. And so, yes, I think 4 years for the reset objectives that I have mentioned, one can create a turnaround and create a platform for resetting our country and giving it the opportunity to take off.
Right, so if you make a bullet way, on a bonnie chon, so to mobile you a chon ye 4 years a far munshi a banya tunio doba because I experience homo so J amount on a batase no be pako dan the back and minima ele nona ele ena sane from when a jinkaya ele no fair no mo so nibi p any abanya fe 4 years me on a bonnie chon call a 4 year track record a first time you can tell. Nchombo hospitals abona mamo. Nchombo interchanges abona mamo. Nchombo schools abona mamo. Ona boni nchon ke compare me 8 years obana ke ame boko modern kula. Neke 24-hour economy ne ni eba ne bakpopo Ghana fe ni MPBB ame fi ame yaka ame nushi. Niko wona mbaga ke o ya tiptoe le no akoba na mo kon wa che 24 hours MPBB. President Mahama said, "Blame you on a break let down van bullet way."
Our economy was embedded right in there, and it is meant to accelerate our productivity. It is meant to increase opportunities for employment. And so, the example you give for most of those European countries is that they have an aging population because birth rates are falling so low. So even as they accelerate their economies with more shifts to increase production, they don't have the labor to be able to service that 24-hour economic policy. We have an abundance of labor. We have young people willing and able to work. And that is the more reason why we even have a better justification to implement the 24-hour economy. But of course, there are people who come and say, oh, but there's 24-hour economy already. There are some businesses that are working 24 hours. Yes, they are doing that by choice. That just a few of them think that they have the capacity to work 24 hours. So it's just by the decision of the owner of the enterprise that he can implement it. It has never ever been a policy in Ghana. So the difference between what they are referring to, that, oh, some companies are running 24 hours, the difference is that we're going to make it a policy, and it's going to have, the guidelines for that policy, and what government can do to encourage more companies to run 24 hours. That is a simple thing. And so we say we're going to bring a 24-hour economic policy. Oh, Nasa Omo Yedada. But we've never had a policy that regulates and guides how we can incentivize companies to do 24 hours. And I said that one of the things we'll do is give them tax incentives. Because one of the things that adversely obstructs businesses in Ghana is our high taxes. And so if you give some of these companies a tax break, it will encourage them to pump more into production so that they can employ more people. And so that's you also have the issue of safety. Because if companies are working in the night, you must guarantee that they are safe to work. And that is an obligation of government. You don't expect the companies to go and hire security people to come and guard them so that they can work. Government must make sure that it creates a safe environment for the 24-hour economic policy to work. Aside from that, transportation. We need to provide an efficient transport network so that even in the evening, people who have to go to work can get easy, affordable transport to run. And that's why we imported the Ayalolo buses, which today are parked in some graveyard. They were never utilized. Government said they didn't have the money to implement it. But it was a combination of interest between government and the private sector. And so GPRT and all of them were involved. And it was going to run as a bus rapid transit system so that people could catch buses to and from work at whatever time that they close. And so when we come, we're going to revamp all those bus rapid transit systems and buses. Why the 24-hour economy works in some of the developed countries is at any time of the day or night when you go to a bus stop, you get a bus to transport you to work. And so government has some obligations under the 24-hour economy. There are many places that we can easily change into a 24-hour economy mode. The judiciary announced recently that, judges are going to sit later than they have done. And so it will mean that people have access to justice better than if they sit the normal time that they sit. If you go to the ports, when the ships come, even at night, the cranes are working and offloading the containers. But why can't I go and clear my container at night? Do we need more customs officers? Yes. Must we get more bankers so that we can make our payments and clear our goods even at night? Yes. And so there are things that government can do to make the 24-hour economy possible. Government has its obligations, and we are going to make it a policy so that the private sector can come on board and be able to do so. People talk about demand. The demand is there. We import 3 billion worth of food products every year, and some of these things we can produce ourselves. And so you can't tell me there's no demand. If there was no demand, why are we importing? If there's no demand for vegetable cooking oil, why are we importing vegetable cooking oil? It means that the demand is there. And so if we can increase productivity, we can meet the demand, our domestic demand. But apart from that, we've been giving the advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area. It says register your brand. As far as I know, Ghana has registered 70 products that it intends to export tariff-free into other countries. We can increase the number of products that we're exporting by increasing demand. We have pharmaceuticals. We have a developed pharmaceutical industry. When I was in government, I gave them money to expand their production to Binko, NS Chemist, Dan Adams, all of them. They have the capacity to increase production and work 24 hours, both to feed domestic demand and also for export. And like I've said somewhere else, we're going to use government's financial muscle to help Ghanaian-owned companies, Ghanaian-registered companies. Because the market, and I'll give an example, the market for pharmaceutical products, if we give a bias towards Ghanaian-made products, and even if they are marginally more expensive than foreign products, we buy them, we're keeping employment in this country. But if we go and bring those analgesics, we bring those antibiotics, we bring those cough syrups from India and other places, we are exporting jobs to those countries. And so we use government's financial muscle to give an advantage to Ghanaian registered companies so that they can produce more and employ more of our young people. And so that's to do with the 24-hour economy.
Right. So if you make wobole to be amine gblam yodogba ona bonicho MPPB ebole ame daiboke ke ame propaganda eyi ame jomo call you ame pene ke vega ame ban channel enji oblanugo yin pe egbe nwonu ewe ke vega ba e type ni bi go vega ege femi mono Sunday School match egbe ma address le directly, but anyways, I mean you are game can Jamie fun ball. I like it. I like the banter. I'm sure I get obana bomonincho, but I like the banter. Jamie fun it's politics. Bona bonincho wo fe Ghana ile wo tawo amalelo ison honorary president Mahama you call party na me dwemo na me leni na me ye chelo ame ka you 24-hour economy. Ne ye abrochi ye strut na practice obaga ke ko te tiptoe le mami ko wa che je me 24/7 so 24/7 economy run no mo ko me na me ta flash amelo no na me you nothing regional minister 10 ne akame ni me yo jama ke 24-hour economy na ke wo shi gbeke ni wote wo moji ame me baba shi na me ke wo ngame be ba wo ko me ne ma me adwomo are these people me community are willing to engage in an intellectual debate ekeke farmer say te mo mi gbeke ka to ne fa na aka pe ne ke te mo mi na wonye wa chu ni gbeke ni ka wa chu ni be no wa ka ba hia me wo ngame ba wo yi. Are these people serious? Ona boninchon yes onu president Mahama you me yes there are individual companies individual Ghanaians ni amenfe na kind by choice. Shimon, there will be a deliberate government intervention, a deliberate government effort now pushing like an agenda ojogba dienche. Deliberate. Ne kakishike okwe 40-year development plan any asete ni mene meba na me kikle to the kerbe. Yemi, the 24-hour policy idea yemi. On a bonincho ka yue o counter with better points so baba ke moko assure fufu chop ba ye gamashi 24 hours cause gamashi oba nyo ye fufu manke tu no 24-hour economy. Are these people serious? Ko yue na make pene ono msisi make pene ni ka me bo commentation na ama mangai ni bi komi ko yue na make pene. MPPB, you guys are the worst in the history of the Fourth Republic. This current MPP government, in Kenya, wachakufuapo ebo modern fio, wachakufuapo ebo modern fio, matakufuade, kufuapo matedi, maka boy wa modern. Go defend oba defend akufuado ke ba omia, patok na me fe ne, patok ne. Pato efe bo ingbeli ake o defend patok ne na akufuado ke ba omia fe, efe bo ingbeli. Ame shafe mo femo. When was the last time the Bank of Ghana declared losses? Under my administration, Bank of Ghana for 3 years in a row, it declared losses. Any defend all. Any defend all. MPPB, you guys are actually defending this. You defend any. Show me last time. Ni banks ya Ghana, I'm a lending rate exceed 30%. The only time was revolution time. Apart from revolution time, when was the last time historically Benin J4 Republic nation need banks in lending over 30%? Under your administration, banks are lending over 30% interest rate. And you guys will have the audacity. Challenge me. Look, Ghana be in Kenya ke asili ani nyekepa me yin na ga asili eche. Nyeba yue awara yenye. Kenya ye ko enye ju. To mo beni mene ayawa so West Wogon. Je no mfio. Je ayawa so West Wogon. Transfer of votes na afi omo atan. Lydia Lassa ayamu me ye hia. Me ye hia na ka me ya. I transfer my vote solo. MPPB Juloy. Kawa you again tabi nye baba ni nye Jugana no fe no kind of keji achimbi Juloy kind of reata Gabiochi da ku akufo adwelenche galamse manche. Galamse. Ah you again nye baba nyekame beba bakada. No nye fake potokpotone, no nye fake Ghana potokpotone. Esa nye nju kake, nye nju mansipoji. You guys are just stealing everything. State lands, state properties. You guys are just stealing it. Maybe a future MPP government ko baba. Ni yes. Ke wakwele obana ke MPP government de le bomode. She dey Akufo-Addo ke ba omia MPP government. The worst. And the numbers bear it out. Facts are you have put your sentiments and your emotional arguments and you guys should deal with facts. Being President Mahama, what was the unemployment rate? What is the unemployment rate now? Dollar to city ratio, many dollar to city ratio. Ukraine, COVID-19 pandemic, Russia-Ukraine war. Really? Ukraine Germany any bomb I economy in Bogana ni blame Ukraine, Russia-Ukraine war. I mean, you got mini MPPB. Ukraine is doing better. Ukraine now from bombu they have a better economy than you guys. I'm a poor. They are doing better. I'm now from bomba chulame. They are doing better. Kenye baba nye ni bi kome. Nye leno ni nye yuo. Nye ni bi kome. Na abaje nye ye na abaje nye ye ko Ghana bi dan. Be kwe juni abaje nye juni nye tawo ni nye juni na ken juwe chuni. Na ken juwe chuni. Vote transfer na afe atan afe vote transfer atan. Ma try na kan video ma abo wo e yan phone no isumo ma distort video ni mfio. So 24-hour economy there's going to be a deliberate government intervention about businesses, tax breaks. Of course, come in 24 hours say sana ramp up security. Ni try buy more into the police force. Can it be on abon intro? Ko oshe ewiem yake ko she port me oba na ke crane say nye 24/7. Why no ni anya more customs officials ko na menya ametuni ko ni bonwo onyo o clear oni bi 24/7 na boni nchon where you are demand say they get the demand is there. They was spend over $3 billion every year work show ni bi ke ba wo mami ke you wade nche wonye won fe na kan ni bi eyan ni wo ba she the demand is there. $3 billion dey show mushka ni wo kan she ni bi ke man se kemba mami ni bi ni wo ba nye wo fe so ke anye I empower ne ke companies ne fe ne ke bi ni bi ne fe amanya me fe komo employment komo me na me ba ye o blantain na ba ye na me tuni ne ke factories ke ne ke companies ne na nya produce ne ke goods ne ni wo show ke jo man se ke ba fe on aboni nchon. So these people are just short-sighted. They are just short-sighted. Aye shikaso no family. You are the West African market, it's open. Among Ghana register 70 products. Ghana has the opportunity to actually register more products. So the demand is there. Me propaganda na me fear 24-hour economy to it. Now, Ika President Mahama Banye implement it perfectly. I'm not sitting here saying that. But the idea, Mogonho Wache, yeah, tiptoe lane 24/7. Koshe Gamashie, Obana Banku, Shutalo no he 24/7. Obana Yeleke Trophy no he Bukom 24/7. I fake 24 hours. I mean, it's ludicrous. On a bon inchon. I'm going to build a free SHSS on it. Bon, I mean, I mean, kept NDCB about for free SHSM. I'm about for me, I'm about for me, I'm about for me, bullet to it.
But, Your Excellency, she also wanted to know what your position on free SHS is.
My position on free
Yes,
SHS?
aside the bill, yes.
My position on free SHS is known. In 2015, I launched progressive free SHS. That's what the Constitution says. The only difference between us and MPP is the approach. We thought that we should put the infrastructure in place and we should do the necessary preparation to absorb the free SHS. And so we started with day students. We made it free for day students. And in the second year, we absorbed 120,000 students on the free SHS. Nanado himself lauded me. It's there in the media. Just, if I had my phone here, I would Google it. They say Nanado lauds Mahama's free SHS. It's there. UNESCO, congratulated us for launching the free SHS. How can a person who launched free SHS be against free SHS? And so it's a political gimmick that is played by our opponents. Free SHS has come to stay. And nobody can roll it back. All we're saying is, let's improve the implementation. Let's take away the bottlenecks. Let's work to abolish the fast track. Let's be able to feed the children better by decentralizing the school feeding, the free SHS school feeding program. So those are all the kinds of initiatives we're thinking about. But we can only take that decision if we come together as stakeholders and discuss freely the challenges that it faces.
Right. So if you make a bullet way, so come go kebwa keke President Mahama ba e ba for na can free SHS me e male sana fail ojugba nika wo bi ete school ameje ni eni papa. Ona boni nchon me ko me ye Ghana na me ye shika na me ba nya me pay sana gbelegbe na me nya me pay am school fees koni na kan shika na akekwe na feshu ake nie wo bi ba na nie nipa jeni bank managers, doctors, nurses onupai, engineers, lecturers, businessmen na me ye shika fe am be ya school free dabi no ka ba na kan no aba je no emi na shi ya foi na me beshika na me ba pay abashim na kanji boni ejejeshi in 2015 President Mahama free SHS legacy in 2015 albeit in a limited way to mobeni nkobwe agency ka day students feel yeah districts jinkome the idea jake as time goes on aba extend it aba expand it ba feel few kamba kani mogomogo lakabo lele akufado ona President Mahama me twade like commend President Mahama for starting it in the article like me bi abo no kwe come on news headline no now in 2015 bona akufado twade President Mahama ke President Mahama more akostati free SHS no ka President Mahama ke le start free SHS emale akufado article ni nkan me bi abo no confirm ake lele President Mahama and I will concede albeit in a limited manner on a burning chon and that is the way because from obi and we be enough infrastructure school building we be pi no waka be a table men kamo shipon so the idea jake President Mahama fele few boni afe na nya mamo schools bi ka mamo schools bi ni wona dining halls bi be na common dining halls no be a yoni yemi wona lecture halls bi wona on a boni chon sana put up infrastructure jogba de enche wa be a na aya shift for years Ghana gbege be in ya shift maybe ni akpa shift system the way now me implement free SHS what secondary school be I'm a boy shift system me come a yellow batch me come a green batch me come a red batch on go down on him so after me she about review she ka cheme na me shika na mbanya me pay me be school fees aba na me pay kona ko yanfu eni ame beshika na me nya ame kwa ame biye na me nya ame anakan shika na ba save agba wo mi odogba je no ni wo biye ka me te school efi ma ke me pi ba join mi echeko wo biye ka me te school na me ya bele na mi fe gogo mi wo biye ni ka me te school na me ya bele na mi fe gogo mi ni ka fe nkate wonu ko nkate wonu okay nu ni afa mi ni agble nkate na atwa wo mi na kan samu abasa every meaningful stakeholder ni your Ghana ni wa school ya ko kake free SHS as na review kenye ba nyemfe propaganda ake NDC bi ka me ba for me you are no qualify nke MPP bi amalelo nyemali ocho ni ka wa yu enye pene kenye ba wa video sense ba nye type ni bi go me ni pa amale nka asilia ni nyeka for Ghana bi aye na ka asilia eche bank say una me banana me floor me ni Ghana be for 10,000 ame lose ame nuchu mo Ghana be come for 10,000 President Mahama keke ba na kan bank say fe abakwa be woji ami ni abakwa na ka me license say ba me back Koni Ghana be 10,000 na me ti amekwa me tashi amonto no lo na me na konuchumo na me ya back na ma chuchu ya me ni no na ba fe na gba wa bank say ni ambanya me chu ameni e aba fe na ke wa me bullet we
collapsed banks. I said that we'll restore the licenses of banks that were unjustifiably taken. You see, the significance of that whole thing is that those banks that were closed were the banks that held the investment of indigenous Ghanaians in the banking sector. Before, most banks were foreign banks until we encouraged Ghanaians to enter the finance and banking sector. And a lot of people like Dr. Undum, Dr. Kwabena Dufo, Heritage, and all those other banks that were closed put their monies in, got licenses, and UT Bank and all of them. And they run successful operations. You see, those banks were the banks in the riskier end of the market because they were the ones doing SME lending. And SME lending is the most risky part of the banking sector. The foreign banks lend to big customers, the Unilevers of this world and big customers like that. And those lendings are not risky because the establishments are known and they know that they'll get their money back. And so you could expect that definitely the banks that were working in the SME sector, which is the riskier end of the market, will have liquidity problems based on bad debt and all that. But the answer was not to clean them out, shut them down, throw more than 10,000 banking professionals onto the streets, and incur a debt of 25 billion Ghana cedis when you could have resolved the matter with less than 5 billion. Because the reason for which they were closed was that they should increase their reserve requirements to 400 million. And so if 10 banks were closed, 400 million is 4 billion. So why couldn't Bank of Ghana give liquidity support to those banks, put them under administration, and make sure that they pay down the equity every year until they are able to repay the liquidity support?
Right. So if you make a President Mahama Tumobeni Ona, Dr. Pakwesi Indum Bank, Mr. Muatin Bank, UT Bank, GN Bank, Beach Bank, Capital Bank, Elenagan 245 or Jeff Magale, misappropriate funds, Akalete, Awulemo, rightly so. On a boninchon. She, Dr. Pakwesi Indum Bank, comment? Mr. Muatin Bank, comment? On a bonichon, Beach Bank, Capital Bank, Otabo Bank, Lenwe Sale, because MPP, if na Gana Yaoshi, the Jameno Jina any force in 20, touch all the Joe, ni Enyepe, Agape, Skanyepe, now will more. So, shall I call no defendi, Ke Bank Jibo, no bank manager. Ni sani ekwene rano bank ojugba ne rani lo ojugba ne jushika ne misappropriate funds ka wolemo aba wolemo ka shati bodan ona boni nchon a shati bodan ona boni nchon but there were other banks ni neki banks ne tumo be no president Mahama yue ameji banks ni ame fa small and medium scale businesses ame fa ameshika ona boni nchon ame because businesses da wama mi meni yo jano wa papa me wanye me na me yo jano na me need os kana mgba wa me nuchu me these are the banks na me take on I can risk na me ke farm amenya ma afashika ye absa amenya ma afashika ye Stanchart amenya ma afashika ye come those are big banks sinege banks BBB ne ame wajano ye wajano hi wa wole me na me tashka ne gba society no me ame fa jameshika farmer small farmer ko ye ko ne ame ne ba fit na kan bank sefe ona bo no ni ko ba ka me name am bedroom MPP am shamele noko nke komo you guys look nini nye ke pa Ghana bi ai they needed a little under 5 million cedis ni amekba am $5 million ni amekba save banks ne na amekba save banks ne. They ended up spending 25 million. So banks can be 10,000 in each 1 year. Come invest just 5 million. Me close bank say, she know me close banks. I may spend 25 million. So call me name. I'm the way now around the economy. It cost about 5 million. No, but fix problem eh. Or fix the problem eh. Or shut bank say fair down. Or spend 25 million. Ko kwa me name ame jomo na ke buo man. Ke wo yue ame no shishi. All across the world, I bail of banks. And what then I shut up all across the world. 2008 do one financial crisis po e bie AIG. One army, American government army, $150 billion. $150 billion na ke save AIG. $150 billion all across the world are save our banks. You don't just go ahead, no, but shut banks, no, but fit man. More so, these are indigenous banks. Ghana be a banks. Ghana be nika mena shika and your mommy. Many mena make a 20 year. Ghana be jame. E come 10,000. I mean, chuma here, pata. Ka wan you e ka nye babi anye ba nye defendi. E na defend you. E fe nya ngbele. And in wonu ken kebwa you are exhibiting a level of unpatriotism. Ni it's appalling. Obaba no Obaba retort with some BS. Obaba retort with some BS. How do you destroy indigenous banks? All it would have cost you to save them was $5 million. Or destroy banks and you ended up spending $25 million. This is what you are defending, my guy. My guy, this is what you are defending. This is what you are defending. No more na problem ko. Never cost le $5 million. Ne ke fix it. Ke choose uno. Ke choose the $25 million route. Ke jo chalo julo ejinye. Nye ba fe na kai. No more ke te bank. Ne ai free jenyo. Na we come $5 million. Na we come $25 million. E ba shi $5 million no. Na $25 million no. Ni fe nu chumo come ba chu. Even $5 million no probably because 10,000 Ghanaians will still be employed. $25 million now 10,000 Ghanaians I'm in a chumo fite and nobody defender my guy. This is what you are defending. This is what you are defending. And no defender. And you call yourself a bona fide Ghanaian? Are you seriously a bona fide Ghanaian? Or defending no to moneke, and you call yourself a bona fide Ghanaian, my guy, you need to come back again. Onum come back again. Come back again. Kaba type ni bi kome. Kaba type ni bi kome. Last time I was post question. Okay, trouble one social intervention program ni NDCFA in Mobo because. You guys have a limited definition of what a social intervention is. No, I'm for that. I can ignore. I'm for that. But President Mahama to it, social intervention. I don't know. Yeah, Google me what is a social intervention program. No, quack any be President Mahama ba outline there. J social a fully under definition of banalo. Bullet way.
I've heard this thing said so many times, and I wonder the basis why they say so. The NDC has no social intervention programs. It's the funniest thing I heard. Who brought the District Assembly's Common Fund concept? It was the NDC. We put it in the 1992 Constitution and said 5 to 8% of total government revenue should go directly to the districts for their development. So if you go to your district and the district assembly has built a school, a KVIP, a nursery, a sports recreation, a community center, it is a social intervention of NDC that has produced that. Who introduced the GET Fund? It's Rawlings, NDC. We passed the GET Fund law. But for the GET Fund, where would our education be? Most of the educational infrastructure in this whole country is being provided through the GET Fund. And so how can you say we haven't introduced social intervention policies? But in any case, what is social intervention policy? Is an action or policy that provides social services or social benefits to the people. And so it's not only GET Fund and other things. we have provided more access to water than any other government in the history of this country. When Professor Mills came into government, access to clean drinking water was 58%. By the time we left office, access to clean drinking water was 76%. For Accra alone, we added 40 million more gallons of water. In 8 years, not 1 gallon has been added. And I hear the Ghana Water Company say, oh, Accra is overgrowing its supply of water. It's overgrowing its supply because in 8 years, you have not added a single gallon to it. You must plan and know what your population growth rate is. And you must continue to put in the capacity to bring in more water. And that's why I'm saying that we took water and brought it in from the northern direction of this country. And so Adenta and other places that had never gotten water for almost 15 years saw their taps flowing for the first time. Today, I'm sure your taps flow twice a week or something. If you don't store water, you will run short. And so we need to invest to bring more water supply, not only to Accra, but to all our growing communities around the country. And so if you are a government and you haven't invested in improving water, definitely access to people will be denied. We've extended electricity more than any government in the history of Ghana. Electricity is a public good. When electricity arrives in a community, it changes the lives of the people very rapidly. People can engage in small-scale enterprises. It was Rawlings who introduced the Rural Electrification Program and the National Electrification Program. And so today, when we say that Ghana has more than 80% access to electricity, it's because the NDC introduced those policies for us to be able to do so. So how can any person say that NDC has not introduced any social intervention? Even the NHIS. NDC started a pilot in Damango and Nkranza for the NHIS. Implementation started in President Kufuor's time. But what President Kufuor introduced was a mutual health insurance scheme. And so your card, your NHIS card, allowed you to access health services only in the district in which you were registered. Today's National Health Insurance Scheme was introduced by Professor Mills. He changed it from a mutual district insurance scheme to a national health insurance scheme so that your card could access health care anywhere in Ghana you go. And so I wonder what is giving these people this idea. You know, I can refer to free school uniforms and free sandals. The free school uniform policy was introduced by Professor Mills. I can refer to the free textbooks for basic schools. When Nana Jane, seated here, was minister, she came and met a situation where 3 children had access to 1 textbook. By the time she left office as minister, every child in basic education had access to 4 textbooks of their own. If that is not social intervention, I wonder what else is social intervention. Even let's take progressive free SHS. It's a policy, the free SHS. I launched the free SHS. And so you can't say that we have not had any social intervention. If you talk about the cocoa sector, our policy of free fertilizer and free cocoa inputs and free seedlings changed the lives of the cocoa farmers. And if you remember, when I was leaving office, we did almost 1 million tons of cocoa because of the policy that we had of giving these inputs to the farmers free. If that is not a social intervention, I wonder what else is. That argument must stop. And the point even is, these people have done more harm to social interventions than any other government in history. They capped the NHIS, and apart from that, they starved it of funds. And so most people with an NHIS card today cannot access health services. You go, you get a consultation, there are no drugs, not even analgesics. You go to hospitals and they say they won't accept the NHIS card because the NHIS is not refunding their claims. And it's not refunding their claims because this government has starved the NHIS of money. They've starved the District Assembly's Common Fund of money. The Constitution said 5% to 8%. We were giving District Assemblies 7.5% of national revenue. When this government came, they reduced it to 5%. And the rest they are putting into the consolidated fund to spend at the center. And even the 5% does not come. If you go and ask any district secretary, he will tell you there's no money. They go begging the MPs to let them have access to the money in their district common fund accounts to be able to do even some of the basic things. And so this government is doing more. Get fund, they collateralize Get fund and spend the money in advance. So Get fund is not able to continue the projects that it is undertaking because the fund has been collateralized. And so this government has done more harm to the existing social interventions than any other government in the history of the country.
Right, so if you make a video ball, ni be a PM, so any maglo district assemblies common fund, I'm emergency Get fund. Can you Get fund Benjamin question where education system collapse long time ago? Get fund. NDC ke ba scholarships can be an Get fund ameka afashika. No ke o any no na Get fund ye mi agen wonyo moyi ameka afashika. More access to water. NDC from 58 to 76. 40 million gallons of water alone were added to Accra. I mean, MPP now about 8 years, zero. Dane kwamo angmenum yolo rural electrification program. NHIS say bon no na me fien kayo no me wife can be American first one na me farm fee. Ene ko nye card I district. I mean it is tailored to district me know your pay. Etumo no ni wachole HMOs ye bi oye insurance no where different tiers born abeninchon ekome ko oye specific doctors no ba anyoya ona boninchon dani aye insurance ko based on no ba select cash card no tower no pay onu chumo no ba anyewu no oya efe bena meje hihie na ka me fail no ni ke oye wakola ke Gasouth municipality jemepo ba anyoya President Mills ba ne back be mi ne fele national ge ko ye card e ko eyan ko ye Ghana no go febu Kumasi still up anyo doctor no ni President Kufuor je hihie je na kan ni me ni me ba yu anu kwale na me family amele district me no yo shishije no card no no etu oni no polenche Jerry John Rallis je hihie che na kan pilot ye je ni je hihie che je boy na kan no pilot mo ni ke me ka malelo eji ama me yu anu kwale. You guys don't speak the truth. Cocoa farmers. I'm on tenewa cocoa farmers. I'm a fertilizer. NDC, you know, I'm free. So I don't even want to my wasting time. You know, I'm at your last video. Ni mabo. Cathedral now $58 million now catch abue. Abile isande over and about to.
I am a Christian and I belong to the Assemblies of God Church. Ordinarily, building a house of God is something that we all do. I contributed monies in my local Assemblies of God branch to build our church, and it's created an environment for us to praise and worship our God. But I don't condone stealing in the name of God. And that is what has happened in the case of this National Cathedral. It is instructive that members of the Board of Trustees, some of the members of the Board of Trustees have resigned, and they have called for a forensic audit of the National Cathedral. I'm not saying it. Members on the board believe that fraud has been perpetrated against the people of Ghana, and they are calling for a forensic audit. At the time this National Cathedral came up, it was somebody's personal commitment to God. And we are sure that public funds were not going to be used for the National Cathedral. Unfortunately, we hear that 300 and something million has gone into it. Where did those payments go? Were they justified? Who did they go to? These are all things that we have to unravel. And I think that that is the first thing we do before we even decide what to do with that huge pit. And so first, let's investigate and do a forensic audit. And if people have, illegally and unlawfully taking the monies of the people of Ghana, they must be made to refund those monies. And so that's the first thing I'll do with regards to the cathedral. Right.
So if I'm a cathedral, it does not condone stealing in the name of God. No, MPP be audio chaloy. I met chojo my guy. Nye chojo cathedral na ma nye chojo. Reverend Kusi boating leno enye gbe konglo nye chojo an nye ko sofo efe chojo nye hwenu mo yin ahye eno about defender you got chale oya twi nwonu oya twi wa you actually defending this kind of government anyway so ball e ke ba na forensic audit na kwa any shika na kan $58 million na shimbu amaje eni na kan shika fe chon abata una nana dani agbene Ghana na e ba decide noni akan buwe ni maje ba fe mi president Mahama call leno chako jomo akan noni maje o ya ama noni maje enyuma tawo enyuma nidi na kan cathedral na fe wo muji president Mahama bolenche ke afi audit ata ni o find them no fe to mo ba cha na again ni no bolenche ni boka wo ba ye because ni cathedral ni maje wo muji nyuma tawo ni fon shikana ju akan mani anyumbo ni she nyumbo gbe ye nye se nyumwa gbeye mbeji ni tete obo bi ason video ese jeke fe benin plan ake ba jeke ko ye dwemoko no osumo no chon o fa ne ye shiba mi ibo e no na ye yue mfoni ne no kema jemi ye jeme ye WhatsApp no ni blofo chole voice note ba ngo na wa ke ofi na ke as usual abigi can you other friend in po gbe no sorry I can address ibo ba yo in po abigi elenka yo abigi gbe because but my other friend, I will be waiting for your comments under the video. Liako Baba hard, but I will be waiting to read them. Still text me or WhatsApp as usual. Hashtag I speak Gan. Hashtag I speak Dangbe. Oh, you I don't wa dienche. Tra no manyejuno. Afu no. Bye bye.
Yeah, Baba. Yeah, Baba. It's neat. Them say you want to chop my